プログラムはどのように決めているでしょうか。1日何スロット上映していますか。お休みは年間何本のキュレーション。ちょっとこれ何個か質問があるので一個一個いきましょうか。
The programming.
Yeah, programming.
So we have different ways to do it. We have the big studio releases that's on the calendar, and we always look ahead for months when the big releases are coming. We also constantly check how the films, like the smaller films, when they're going to get released. There are a few titles we already have in mind that were suitable for our audience. And then the negotiation begins with the distributors, smaller ones and bigger ones as well, of the terms of conditions. And sometimes what kind of terms they dictate can change what our programming is, because we would like to bring as many titles as possible. But when a big release wants all the spots, we have to make the decision whether we want to just go with the one thing or we rather give option to different releases. So that's number one on the main release. The second one is that we check the reaction in the film industry, not just festivals, but we'll see how certain films play in other cinemas. So there's a possibility that there's a film that's been released that we can't play for 2 or 3 weeks, but we monitor if how's it doing in other cinemas, and we might be able to bring it in later in the run if we feel like that's a title that we'd like to show, but we can't play it, you know, during the first couple of weeks of release. So there's a lot of times that we also would like to think that the film has strong word of mouth. We're able to play it throughout the weeks, so then it can grow its audience.
And also, sorry to interject, if we do have that case, that famously Oppenheimer and Barbie, we do tell our loyal audience that this film is coming. So if we playing something else that we contractually obliged, but they're definitely getting a title that is of interest to our audience, we are letting them know that this is coming in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks time, because people tend to be loyal to art house cinemas like us, and they don't mind waiting a week or 2 weeks to see that title in our cinema. So like a marketing kind of objective to let the customers know as soon as possible you made the decision about your program.
すごい。具体的な決め方を伺って結構びっくりしましたけれども。
So when so you remember you approached us months ago.
Yeah.
So if you know about a project months in advance, you pop it in a calendar as a penciled in, and then if you work towards the project and you're pretty sure, as much as you're sure, you let your film buyers know that, okay, this is confirmed and we're working towards this project. The big distributors normally have to respect that you have reserved this slot. If you don't take a mickey, excuse my French, but you popped it in the calendar, so now when it comes to buying the film and getting the terms, they will respect that this slot, like yesterday on a Sunday evening, has been reserved for this film. They will obey it. As long as you don't, so in the UK, I presume Japan the same, as long as you give them the opening weekend, usually Friday and Saturday evenings, right, and they will respect that. They also know about our mission statement. We are a special cinema, art house cinemas. We do all try and include other than just big blockbuster releases. We famously, we haven't spoken about it, Met Opera and NT Live. That was cinemas like us that pioneered this. Now everybody in the country plays Met Opera, streams it live, but that was cinemas like us. They just copied our idea. So the distributor, no matter how big or small, they will understand that this has been put in a calendar for 2024, and they will understand that these slots are reserved.
Okay.
So they have a leeway of playing and getting the slots available,
Okay.
which leaves us, it's just like a kind of game you're playing with them.
So each
Yeah.
distribution company and the big, whether the big or small, that they all respected the reserved slot.
I would say 80% of the time. It also means we have to have the knowledge of the calendar, because we know which distributors would not allow it. So if there's a big, we need to have the knowledge of understanding of the industry to know which weeks is possible and which weeks is not possible. I'll give you an example. We're gonna have Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon. We know that during that week, we cannot have any evening slot for anything else, because we don't want to risk not getting the film. And there are other titles as well that, for example, Oppenheimer, we knew that during that first 2 weeks of release, we cannot play anything. So, and also, I don't want to be too long because, but we build relationship with the distributors. So they understand that certain times, you know, we make them a favor or they do a favor for us.
Okay.
It's all about
Respect,
creating that respect.
mutual, agreement.
Right.
So they will,
Condition is, yeah.
yeah,
Right, that's
yeah.
right.
上映する作品は、一つは、映画祭へ行って、で、自分たちで買い付けたり、ユーロスペースが制作に入って一緒に作ってくる映画を上映したりするっていう、まず自分たちが主体的になって、選ぶ作品が一つはあります。
So they distributing as well as
Yes.
and may I ask if they ever, because I know that some chains in here, the UK, deal with it as well, especially if they're more style. That do you ever buy the script? So would you ever get into the production when you read the script even before the movie is finished?
それを選ぶには、その監督が今までどういう作品を作ってきたかっていうことが一番気になります。で、最近だと、秋香りすまきの新作は、いわゆる完成する前に、プリバイっていうんですか。で、購入しました。
Very good. Very good. And do you find it difficult when you go to festivals to compete with other distributors in Japan, that sometimes you have to negotiate for the film, for the same film?
Only one film?
Yes, if there have been competitions for them.
あ、そういう場合はもう配給会社に任せます。
あ、そうなんだ。
うん。なんて言うんだろう。あるいは一緒に配給をしましょうとか。
In the UK, it's not possible. Unfortunately, the distributors are not as cooperative.
No.
They wouldn't allow in here.
They the kings basically.
Okay.
They hold.
So they are fighting how they can get the one film, right?
USA and UK especially.
Yeah.
Like they basically they own the. So even though we exhibit the films, they own the industry. If you may say. So once it's in their possession, they have the rights, and all the cinemas are kind of.
That we have seen there is a cinema association that is kind of a union for different cinemas, we are proposing changes to this, and there are small ways to improve things, to take the big power of distribution, and we're hoping that that will change in the future.
二つ目に、上映する作品の決め方として、映画祭やマーケットへ行って、そこで、見た作品で気に入ったものがあったら、その作品に向いている配給会社の人に声をかけて、で、その配給会社に買ってもらって、ユーロが受け皿となって上映をするという作品になります。
So he must have earned a very big status within the industry to have that influence.
いや、そんなことはないですね。大体、お呼びじゃないし。
お呼びじゃない。
お呼びじゃって我々の資本力では、そういうタイトルはゲットできないし、私の周りの配給会社もお金がないから、そういう作品はなかなかゲットできないです。
But as Zalan said, he must have created a profile for himself
Right.
to be listened to.
で、3つ目に配給会社からのオファーがあって、で、そのオファーの中から作品を選んでいくという作業があります。これは非常に概論になってしまってるんですけれども、もう一方の考え方で、その映画館のスクリーンを一つの線で考えていって、で、その線の上の方に、いわゆるクラシックスと言われている作品を選んでいく。真ん中に今のいわゆるベテランの監督の作品を選んでいく。で、一番下のところに若い世代の作品を選んでいくという映画史的な捉え方っていうものをするようにしています。
We would like to play more classics as well ourselves. We've tried to curate and bring as many as possible. The only limitations we have is the one screen. So if when we can when we can see a gap in the calendar, then we would like to always bring, especially for us, world cinema and foreign films. So sometimes maybe show films from countries that people don't usually watch in this country.